In this training session, we're going to go through the process of completing your Form 6 via utilising the RealWorks program. Any Form 6 documentation, once completed, needs to be approved by head office prior to sending to any owner. The first step that we're going to do is just open up our password list, which you will see here. On the password list, you will see the access details you need for RealWorks down here on your form. The important part of this is we don't have your password. Your username for RealWorks is your Raine and Horne email address, ordinarily provided here is firstname.lastname@onsite.rh.com.au. Once we've got those details, we then need to access our RealWorks program. This is done through here. In relation to the username, you simply type the username in the top. If you are unaware of what the password is here, simply click on Forget Password, type in your Raine and Horne email address here and click Reset. It will send you a new password for you to use. Once you're in the system, you will be able to make changes to that password at the time. So clicking back to the login screen, once we've got the details in here, we simply click Login. So once logged in to RealWorks, at this stage we need to grab our Form 6. Our Form 6 is located under Templates and should ordinarily be in your name. As you can see, you should see your name here on the top right hand side, and under the Templates area, once clicked, the form that we are looking for is known as the Master Template RHOS Sales Agents Only. So it's a Form 6 containing 2 attachments. So we highlight the form to start with. Once highlighted, we then click Create Form. So in creating the form, we give the form the name. So generally speaking, it could be the address of the property, complex name and or owner's name. So I might go with complex name being Outlook, with the owner's name being Fluhart. Now once that's typed in, we have to copy a couple of files. You will see these files here. These are attachments to the Form 6 that we're going to attach electronically to the document at a later stage. These may change from time to time. Should you see them here, you need to tick both. Once they're both ticked, we need to ensure the Autofill My Agency Details is unticked, as you can see here. Ensure your template is private, otherwise all the people in the network will see your form. Once we've completed this, click Save and it will open up the new form. Now that the form is open, we can start filling the form in. In part 1 of the Form 6, you'll see we have the client details. We have room here for 2 clients, Client 1 and Client 2. Should you have more than 2 clients, you can add the additional client to either Client 1 or Client 2 on this page, or alternatively, we do 2 Form 6s and use the part 1 of this page for the 3rd client. It's our recommendation simply to add all clients to the one page if you can do that. By filling in the details in here, we simply have their full names, which you will find in Pricefinder. So ensure using middle names if they have any. If it's a company, ABNs or ACN needs to be filled in with the correct address details, email addresses, and contact numbers. Under Client 2, the same rules apply for Client 2 as Client 1, filling in the details completely in full. In relation to Part 2, which is the licensee details, these details should not change in any way, as these details are the licensed holder for any property being advertised through the on-site sales system. Moving on to Part 3, which is on page 2, are the details of the property. It's important that the details of the property are stated correctly. Sometimes properties are known at 2 addresses. Simply typing in the address in the first part here, so it could be 1 Outlook Place, and then you could also put also known as 55 Bernard Road. Obviously the suburb will remain the same. In relation to the lot, plan and reference number on this form, those details needed to be obtained by Pricefinder. That can be done by simply opening up Pricefinder, logging in. Once we're logged into Pricefinder, we'll go to the property section. So if we've opened up a property report, in this case I've opened one at the Meadowlands, you will notice down the bottom we have the property description here. Here we find the lot and the plan number, also a parish, which is not required at this stage. The only piece of information that we're missing at this point is the title reference number. Ordinarily, Monday to Saturday from 9 to 5, you'll find the titles information is under titles and plans. When the titles and plans open up, you will be given a title reference number here. That title reference number needs to be filled in the Form 6 in this area. Continuing down the form, we get into Part 4, the appointment of the property agent. This is done for us simply by having the sale ticked, which on the standard template should already be ticked, as well as the single appointment for a particular service. In this section, we have to put in our dates if we are running an exclusive property sale, which we should be. Remember, the exclusive period must be 90 days or less. So if we need to determine what dates to fill in here, we do that by going into Scout. So under the RH Scout program, we log into this system. We go to Documents, On-Site Sales Library. Clicking on here, we should see this page. Click through to the On-Site Sales Documents. Once the page loads, we're looking for a 90-day ready reckoner or a 90-day calculator, whichever you prefer to use. Simply type in the word 90 into the title and you should see a spreadsheet and a ready reckoner appear. Now the calculator is the easiest one to use. I've already pre-loaded this for convenience. When the calculator loads up, we simply just need to put in the start date of when we want the form to start. Ordinarily, if I'm sending the form off today, I'd ordinarily give this a week or up to 2 weeks prior to the actual exclusive period beginning. In this case, this might be the 20th of August in 16. This will subsequently tell me the end date that I need to put on my form. Recording both dates, we come back to our RealWorks form and we pop the dates by using the date calendar box here. So that could be, say for instance, 17th, whatever our end date happened to be. So we've got the dates. Remember, 91 days will actually make the form invalid, so just ensure that you are less than the 90-day period as required. Scrolling down the form, we're up to section 3, which is where we set the price for the property. Now remember, the price advertised can be different to the price on this form. If they want to advertise at a fixed price in any description, we simply tick list price. We type in the price that we'd like to advertise the property for. Should they want to change their mind in price, we simply need to be getting that in writing via an email from your client. So once we've got that established in there, we then need to fill in our price range. Our price range, in this case, if it's 350,000, we might be viewing it electronically from 300,000 through to 400,000. So once that section's filled in, part 4 is already filled in. In this particular section here that we can see highlighted, it's basically authorising you to organise the body corporate disclosure statement on behalf of the owner at their expense. Moving further down the form, we've got the termination of appointment and what type of listings they are, whether they're open, fixed term or continuing appointment. As you know, this form is utilised for not only sales but also rentals. In relation to the property sales, the default is already ticked for us, which is the exclusive agency, which is what we're always trying to achieve. From there we have the property sales. This section needs to be signed by the clients and also by the agent when the form comes back. All we need to do in this case is we do nothing at this stage until that form does return. In relation to the commission, we have the standard commission set, as you can see here. If you want to offer a discount through to the client instead of the standard 5% of the first 18,000 and 2.5% of the balance, you are authorised at any time to drop the first 5% of the first 18,000 and go with a flat 2.5% plus GST. Should you wish to charge more, feel free and be happy to do so. In relation to the commissions payable, we've got refer to clauses 5 and 6 of the essential terms and conditions. We need to ensure that this box is ticked to refer to that. Scrolling down the form further, we actually have an advertising and marketing section. This simply refers to the marketing program that we will attach to this document, which will form part of the Form 6 once we actually download the form. So in this case there is nothing to do in this section. So administrative fees are highlighted in section 3 of this section, being $198. Should your owner dispute the $198 and you think you're going to lose a listing over this, feel free to drop that fee. Certainly advise us that the fee will not be on the form when you send it through. Next section here in part 9, we've got signatures. In this section, all we have to do is put in the full names of the clients in parts 1 and part 2. In this section here, we notice that the schedules and attachments are listed. So as we were talking about previously about the advertising, you can see that they will be attached along with a consent to receive electronic communication. In relation to part 10, this section actually needs to be left blank at this stage. We do recommend to just simply take a listing through to open instead of reappointing the exclusive period. Should you wish to reappoint the exclusive period, we simply do that in a different section in the form. So the different section in the form is under part 6. So scrolling back up the form just to show you where this is, we can see here where we had an exclusive. At the end of the exclusive or sole agreement, we either agree or don't agree. Should we tick agree, part 10 no longer applies. If we don't agree, then part 10 needs to be filled in. This can only be done in a 2-week window towards the end of the listing. So from the end date of the listing period and 2 weeks before. So scrolling back down to part 10, we get into our actual REIQ schedule. In this particular area, the prior appointment, you just need to tick the most appropriate boxes. Ordinarily it's the first 2 boxes, as the client hasn't listed with anybody previously, that they have asked for market advice, which we tick yes to, simply because we're attaching a CMA. They acknowledge the receipt of the CMA, which is already defined for you and listed in the attached CMA, which is the one that we prepared earlier. Following it further down here, this is in relation to giving property information out to buyers. We simply leave this blank as we don't want to be authorised by the client at the time. In part C, the managing agent details. This is either your details as a property manager, should you be managing the property, or alternatively the managing agency of the alternate manager. Scrolling further down the form, we have the solicitor's details, which can be left blank. Part E, the public liability, has already filled in, just referring them to our terms and conditions. Under part F, the auction, we always say no in this case. Should you wish to conduct an auction on a property, please call the principal of the business to ensure he runs through the auction process with you in the correct manner. So privacy statement is already ticked with a link to the following privacy statement online. The requirements for sole and exclusive, this needs to be ticked as we need to advise them what those what their obligations are under the Act, which is prescribed in the form. So going further down, in relation to the material facts, if there's anything wrong with the building, they should be known in here or just left as unknown. We have the property details page, which is done over 2 pages. I'm happy for the agents to leave this completely blank, as we don't really require or refer to this information at any stage during the listing process. The bottom of the form, on this section, it actually allows us for the signature section, which we should be doing when the form returns. Beyond this is the essential terms and conditions of the form. There's nothing to fill in this part. At this point, the form is now considered to be completed. So we should at this point save the form here. So by clicking the save button on this side, once the form's saved, we will now be able to download the form. Now in doing so, on the downloading form, we have the print options. We attach the 2 annexures to go with it. Now this is only downloading it as a draft, as the form has not been finalised. Once we tick both options, we click print. This will print it to a PDF form for us to then simply review and send to the head office for approval. So on this form, the only additional information that we have will be at the very bottom of the form, which are the two attachments. So just showing what the two attachments are. Firstly is the vendor authority in relation to advertising, so the marketing programs. So it's just showing the difference of costs that they can incur should they wish to do so in relation to the forms. In relation to costsforrealestate.com, you need to just talk to head office in relation to the costings of the highlights, premieres and 30-day feature listings, as the prices change via postcode. So we can't obviously put a form together collectively for all agents. So simply let us know what you're after and we'll help you fill this part of the form in prior to sending to the owner. So once the form is modified and filled in with the details, we simply have the vendor's authority, how they plan on making the payment, and then signed off. Below that is that consent to receive electronic communication as part of the form. Once this is finalised, we simply now save that form to our folder, so that in our case we might be putting it in the appraisals folder here under a particular property. So we simply save the form here. Once the form's been saved, that's now ready to send to head office along with our other forms. In following the next training video, you should now send all your forms, including your CMA, off to head office for the approval. Once the approval is granted and any changes are made, we're now ready to finalise the form. This particular PDF can now be closed down, and we go back to RealWorks once again. And under the RealWorks, we open up our form if it's not already open, as it is in this case. Once our form's open that we've created, we are now ready to finalise the form, ready for print. So in doing so, once the form's open, we click on the finalised option here, and we click finalise. Okay, and now that the form is finalised, this removes the draft across the overall form. We simply click download. It will ask us once again for those two attachments. We tick them both as we did previously. Click print, so this will now again print it to a PDF. Once this is printed, we're now ready to send to the owner. So we simply save it to the same area as we did previously. So the form is now saved as our final form, ready to be sent to the owner along with our CMA. That concludes the training session on completing your Form 6.